Hey fam, and welcome to the Muscle Makeover with Megan Hardy, founder of Fitness Uncharted, where we talk about mindset and tactics that will help you build more muscle, lose more body fat, and improve your health, leaving you feeling confident and empowered. That's the goal. I'm your host, Megan Hardy, and welcome to episode number 2. So, layout real quick of the next few episodes. Today, I'm going to be talking about how to get off of the yo yo cycle and create sustainable fitness and nutrition habits. That way, you can actually reach your health and body composition goals and maintain them long term. Let's get off the yo yo cycle. But then, over the next few episodes, we're going to dive more into an overview of macros, what they are, why they can be so helpful for your body composition goals, and also how they can help actually give you more food freedom. Also, I want to help simplify macros to reduce some of the overwhelm because you might be going like, I don't even know what macros are. That's okay, girl, I got you. We'll talk about it. But you also might be the person going, yeah, I get it. Protein, fats, and carbs, but it's overwhelming. I have a busy lifestyle. Like it doesn't seem conducive. I'm a busy mom. It's going to take up too much of my time, things like that. And I want to simplify it and reduce the overwhelm because it can be a really great tool again, to help you reach your body composition goals. But it's actually personally for myself been something that has helped me reach the food freedom that I now have. And so I want to be able to share that with you guys. And the beautiful part about it is it's really not any kind of diet. Macros is really more of like a skill set. It helps you learn what is in foods, what foods are composed of what, and how it can help you reach your body composition goals without being restrictive. So it's very, very freeing, actually, if you learn how to do this. And it's an amazing skill set to have. So let's get into it, though. Let's get into this episode. I'm sure a lot of the people listening to this podcast have tried and probably failed plenty of diets in the past. You might have seen some quote unquote success during the diet, but then, maybe gained the weight back or even gained more weight back afterwards. Or maybe you had to repeat the same diets, like think Weight Watchers or Nutrisystem, keto, meal replacements, Optavia, however you say it. Like, don't even get me started on that one. Jenny Craig, Atkins, carnivore, like the list goes on and on and on of these fad diets. I feel like a new one comes out every year. And the one thing that they all have in common is that they are restrictive. Like, take any one of those diets and they're probably restricting some kind of food group, or it's very, very restrictive calories, or like, again, it'll be like random things that you can't have for whatever reason they come up with. So like, take like keto, right? Like that's obvious, like very restrictive on carbs. I was just talking with one client the other day who was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I found you guys because like I did keto before and like holy crap, I would have killed somebody for a strawberry or a tomato." And I'm like, "What? A strawberry or tomato? Like why are those things off like restricted? Like does it make any sense?" So, or take Weight Watchers, that's the point system. Like in what real world do we use points for food and why can I have like all of these random foods and they're no points and then these are high points, like whatever, right? And at the end of the day, it comes down to calories and food quality. It doesn't make much sense, right? It can be very confusing and also not really conducive to real world. Or like carnivore, right? Like that's basically all you can eat is like meat and like animal products. And it's like, okay, for most of us, that's probably not realistic long term. And so what I find with these diets is they're restrictive in some way or another. And so that becomes unrealistic and unsustainable to do long term. So, like, my philosophy is like, if you can't do it long term, why do it at all? Really ask yourself that. Like, okay, great if you can lose the weight, but can you maintain it? And I find most people don't have issues with, let's just take again weight loss as an example, because that's an easy one to look at. But whether your goal is like toning up, building more muscle, whatever it is, let's say weight loss, like a lot of times people can lose the weight, but they don't know how to maintain it. And what's the point of doing one of these diets if you have to revisit the same diet over and over and over again? Like, two in particular that I hear people redoing all the time are Weight Watchers and keto. And it'll be like, yeah, oh yeah, I had success with Weight Watchers or I had success with keto. I lost a lot of weight. It was successful. And then they're talking to me though, because they're stuck again, or they're considering doing that diet again. And I'm like, was it really successful if you gained the weight back and usually gained more back? And so they're doing the same diet, not once, but 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, at least once a year. And it's like, how can we get off of this yo-yo cycle of redoing the same diets that aren't really working for us? So that is what I want to help my clients with. And I also want to help you guys listening to this podcast with is how can we get sustainable results and have sustainable health and fitness? Because I know for me personally, when I was on that yo-yo of binging and restricting my food, like I wanted to pull my hair out because it's like I was just treading water. It was like seriously like a hamster on a wheel. You're not making any forward progress. You're really just like staying stuck in the same place. So like I want to help people find more of that sustainable long-term approach and lifestyle. So in order to do that, here's what you have to do. You have to focus on systems, not goals. Do not focus on your goals. Let me repeat that. Focus on the systems. Again, setting goals is great, to start, but once you set the goal, like set it and forget it. So we all probably heard before SMART goals, right? SMART goals stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-oriented. That is so, so great. I love that you set a SMART goal. Set the goal, whatever that is, if that's losing 20 pounds, 50 pounds, 100 pounds, toning up or building muscle or setting a new PR. That's great. Set the goal, but then you have to focus on the systems. So what does that look like? So instead of going every day, like, have I lost the weight yet? Have I lost the weight yet? Let me get on the scale again. Let me get on the scale again. Instead, you're going, okay, what systems do I need to have in place? So let's take as an example, let's look at if your goal is toning up and building more muscle and seeing more lean muscle definition. I think that's another goal of a lot of the listeners for this podcast will be that toning up category. So let's say that's your goal. Instead of going like, oh my gosh, can I see my muscles yet? Do I have abs yet? Can I see more muscle definition? Am I losing inches at my waist? Instead of asking yourself those questions every day and focusing on that, you need to be focusing on the systems like, am I strength training consistently? How many days a week am I strength training? 4 days a week. Cool. Perfect. Am I using progressive overload? And am I increasing the weight and reps and volume and intensity over time to continue to see progress? Cool. Awesome. I'm doing that. That's my system. Am I eating healthy, nutritious food? Am I doing macros? Am I eating enough protein? Am I eating 80 to 90% whole foods? Okay. Am I doing that? Yes or no? And how am I going to do that? Okay, I'm going to do that with meal prep. I'm going to set aside times on these days to meal prep. I am going to grocery shop on this day. And then I'm going to make sure I have backup plans too and healthy snacks on hand. And those are your systems, guys. Those are the things you have to focus on. And, sleep. Sleep is another great one. Like, do you have a wind down routine? Because sleep and recovery, oh my gosh, we'll do a whole podcast episode on sleep because it's so underrated for your body composition goals, especially when you're getting down to that like last bit of body fat that you're trying to get rid of. Like sleep cannot go overlooked. So it's like, do you have a system in place to make sure you can get enough sleep? Yes, of course, we know we have some young moms and whatnot who like, okay, we just sleep when we can. That's okay. That's a season of life that you're in. But, like, are you doing when you can a wind down routine? Are you setting aside 7 to 9 hours? Are you making sure you set yourself up for success with, leaving the room cold enough? Are you, leaving the room like clean and uncluttered? Are you comfortable? Like, are you getting good quality sleep? Like those are the systems, right? And I guarantee you that if you focus on the systems, those things, the goals will be a byproduct. The results that you're looking for will happen. And you might have to push out your time horizon and the expectation of when you think something might happen. And that's another issue we come across oftentimes is people set a goal and then they expect to reach that goal and achieve it earlier than what's realistic. And then they set themselves up for failure. And it's like there's a saying that's like people overestimate what they can do in a week and they underestimate what they can do in a month. Or you could even take that to another extreme where it's like people overestimate what they can do in a month, but they underestimate what they can do in a year. And that's where I find we have this conversation often with clients. It's like, let's look at a year from now versus even like 3 months or 6 months from now. Because if you can kind of push out and do that delayed gratification, like we talked about in the last episode, you're going to be a lot more successful. But also if you can focus on the systems and the process oriented goals versus that long-term goal, you're going to be so much happier too. Because think about it this way. If you count your wins, for instance, if you do eat 80 to 90% whole foods and you did meal prep all week and you ate those meals like you were supposed to, you can give yourself a big pat on the back and go like, yes, I'm awesome because I did what I said I was going to do and I hit those system process oriented goals. And then you can build that motivation in and build momentum versus going like, oh dang, it was just another week that I didn't hit my, weight loss or fat loss or muscle goal. Like, shoot, I'm still very far away. That's a super defeating way to look at it. So not only is this going to help you actually reach those long-term goals from a like action oriented place, but also from a motivation and momentum oriented place, because you're looking at the process oriented wins and goals versus those long-term goals. So that's what we want to do. And actually, I don't know if you guys have heard of the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you have not, go do yourself a service, buy it from Amazon. I do not get any kickback from this, but I recommend it to like all my clients because it really is life-changing. But one thing that he says in the book is you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And so what that means is like, if you set this goal, awesome, you're not going to rise to that goal. Like you might be able to set that lofty goal, but you're not going to rise there. You're going to fall back to the level of your system. So whatever systems you have in place, like just think about it. Like we all have these great goals, especially when we start new programs and we're like, oh my gosh, we have these high expectations of what's going to happen, but then life happens and ish hits the fan and we fall back to our old habits or way of doing things because that's what we know, that's what's easy, and that's what's like doesn't require extra thinking, right? So what we need to do is we need to have those systems in place for those new healthy habits that we want to form in order to make sure that we take action on those. And another saying I love is a goal without action is just a dream. So if you're not taking action, but you're setting goals, which again, goal setting is great, but setting systems is better. And if you're setting a goal and not taking action, that's really just a dream. So what I want you guys to take away from this episode and kind of laying in that foundation for all future episodes going forward is knowing that we are very much a lifestyle and habits-based approach. And you'll see that as an undertone to everything we talk about. We want it to be realistic. We want it to be sustainable. It is not a quick fix. It's going to get you off of the yo-yo cycle. I want you to go out and take away from this episode, like plan out the systems that you need to have in place to reach your goals and to be able to sustain them long-term. Because you guys, that is what's going to help you reach your goals, your health goals, your body composition goals. And that's what's going to help you sustain them and maintain them. Like, I don't know, hands, raise of hands, who here wants to have a beach ready body year round? Like I right here, I do. And that's what I want to help my clients. I don't want them to, in my program and go like, oh, dang, 6 months or a year from now, I'm right back where I was before. We want to help you maintain your results. So that's what your homework is for today. Go out and figure out what systems do I need to put into place, and don't start too big. Don't try to address everything at once. So don't go out and go like, oh my gosh, I have to make over my nutrition, my sleep, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to pull my hair out. Just set one system in place. So maybe that is sleep. Maybe that's, okay, I'm going to go to bed an hour earlier tonight. And that's your system. I'm going to go to bed at 9:00. That is my system. That's my specific goal that I have in place. And that's going to be the process that I work with this week. So go out, figure out what your thing is, set a system to put into place that's going to help you step in the right direction towards that long-term goal. And if you guys are interested in learning more about what we do at Fitness Uncharted, follow me on Facebook at Megan Hardy, or Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube at Fitness Uncharted. And just thank you guys so much for joining me for episode 2. And I look forward to seeing you guys on episode number 3.